Today's lesson is Austrian desserts, a taste of history. Hi, everybody. My name is Roger.
And I'm Mike.
And today we're going to continue talking about Austrian desserts. I'm sure lots of different countries around the world have their own kinds of pastries and desserts, but we're focusing specifically on the desserts from Austria because now that we can pretty much travel anywhere we want to and the COVID restrictions are pretty much gone, a lot of people are probably choosing to go to Austria just to try those pastries.
Absolutely. Austria is a wonderful place. You can go there and waltz up a storm, maybe have some Wiener Schnitzel, which is a classic Austrian meat dish. And then after, you can have one of the desserts that we've talked about, or one of the four, I should say, that we'll be learning about today. The good thing is yesterday we took care of the apple strudel and the soccer tort, which is basically a fancy Austrian chocolate cake. Now, those are great. Those are wonderful. I love apple strudel. But today, we're going to be exploring the deeper areas of Austrian desserts, the sort of unknown local favorites, maybe, that you might not even have heard of, never mind tried. So it's going to be interesting. The names will be challenging, but if you get through it, you will deserve a piece of chocolate cake or something.
And today, of course, we're going to introduce you to 4 new kinds of pastries that you can try on your next trip to Austria. So let's find out about the first one now. Let's listen, and then we'll come back to talk about it.
Salzburger Knockerl. Austrians don't need many ingredients to create great desserts. Salzburger Knockerl is mostly made from eggs, sugar, flour, and air, yet the result is a worthy tribute to the city it's named for. Before baking, the dessert is arranged in 3 peaks representing the 3 hills surrounding Salzburg.
大家好，第一部分我们可以看到名词 ingredient， 它的意思是食品等原料或是成分。例如 This restaurant only uses fresh ingredients to prepare their food. 这间餐厅只使用新鲜食材来准备食物。再来我们介绍形容词 worthy， 它指的是相称的、配得上的、值得点点点的或是值得尊敬的。例如 Although he was short on money, Max still donated to the charity because he felt it was a worthy cause. 虽然 Max 缺钱，但他还是捐了一些给慈善机构，因为他觉得这是一项值得的事。或者 Hannah's hard work on her project is worthy of praise. Hannah 在她企划上的辛勤工作值得表扬。
Okay, so the first one here is called Salzburger Knockerl. I hope I said that right. I think if you go to Austria and you order that and you don't say it in precisely correct German, they're going to understand you're a tourist, They'll know what you mean. Don't worry about that. And Austrians don't need many ingredients to create great desserts. Now, remember, if you need to make something, if you need to make cake or pie or a bowl of beef noodles, you need to have different ingredients, the parts that make up a complete dish. So the ingredients for beef noodles, I suppose, are the noodles, pieces of beef, the broth, salt, other kinds of spices. Those are the ingredients to a good bowl of beef noodles.
That's right. And if you buy food in a store, often the ingredients written on the back of the package, and then you can see all the things that went in to make up that food that you are eating. So let's look at the ingredients. It seems that they're going to be pretty simple because, it says they don't need many ingredients. So a few simple ingredients should be able to make you a wonderful Salzburger Knockerl. I can barely say it, never mind make it, is mostly made from eggs, sugar, flour, and air. You can't buy air at the supermarket. I think the air just comes with the kitchen that you're working in.
Yeah, air is free.
Okay. So you can't make it in space, but you can make it anywhere they have air and anywhere you have eggs, sugar, and flour. That's it. Yet the result is a worthy tribute to the city it's named for. So basically, this is super simple, but the resulting dessert, what you'll get once you make it, is actually pretty fancy, and it's a worthy tribute. Something that's worthy, it measures up. It meets your expectations. It's as good as you could hope for, or maybe even better. So a worthy tribute to someone who saved a person's life might be, getting a medal from City Hall, meeting the mayor, maybe getting a financial gift of some kind. That's very worthy. If I save your life and you're just like, hey, thanks, man. And that's all. I saved your life. You could have died. That's not really a worthy tribute or a worthy thanks for saving someone's life. So worthy is, it lives up to what you want. It meets your expectations, maybe even goes beyond. So this is a good tribute. This is something that Salzburg can be proud of, and the dessert can be proud to be paying tribute to the city of Salzburg. That's, of course, a city there in Austria. So how do we make it, or what does it look like?
Well, before baking, the dessert is arranged in 3 peaks, representing the 3 hills surrounding Salzburg.
Oh, interesting.
So a peak, of course, is a mountain, and it refers specifically to the top of the mountain. So there are 3 mountains surrounding Salzburg, and so they've got this dessert arranged like 3 mountains, and they represent the 3 hills which surround Salzburg. Yeah, it's probably just a plate with 3 humps on it or something like that.
I guess you get this.
The mountains.
You get this fluffy egg, sugar, and flour mix, and just sort of arrange it in these nice mountains or nice kind of cloudy shapes, and then bake it. And there you go. Nice and simple. All right, let's move on to the next one. We're going to look at 2 desserts in our next section, so let's give a listen to that, and then we'll come back to Be Very Hungry and talk about them.
Mozartkugel. Also from Salzburg, the composer Mozart has several desserts named in his honor, one being the Mozartkugel, a sphere of chocolate-filled almond paste coated in nougat and dipped in bitter chocolate. Though many have copied the recipe, only Mozartkugeln from their home shop in Salzburg may bear the original name. Linzertorte. Dating back to the 1600s, Linzertorte is said to be the oldest cake named after a place. Its buttery crust is filled with preserved fruit, then covered with thin strips of dough. In many Central European countries, it's traditionally served as part of Christmas celebrations.
第二部分我们看到单字 composer， 它是名词，有作曲家的意思。例如 This music was written by my favorite composer. 这首音乐是我最爱的作曲家写的。再举一个例子 Olivia studied late 18th century composers in school. Olivia 在学校学习18世纪末期的作曲家。另外，将这个字的字尾 r 去掉，就会成为动词 compose， 意思是谱写乐曲或是创作诗词，组成或是构成。例如 Ryan composes most of his music in his bedroom. Ryan 在他房里创作他大部分的音乐。又或者说Andrew Lloyd Webber has composed many famous musicals. Andrew Lloyd Webber 谱写过很多著名的音乐剧。再看一个例子 The picture is composed of thousands of tiny images arranged to look like a face. 这张照片是由数千微小影像排列组合成，看起来像一张脸。下一个介绍一个名词 crust， 它的意思是酥皮、面包皮或是外壳。例如Hilda's pie crust was too flaky and fell apart when she cut a slice for her son. Hilda 做的派饼皮太薄，当她切一片给她儿子时，就碎开了。又或者说 Benjamin requires the crust to be removed from his sandwiches. Benjamin 要求他的三明治要切边。
Okay, so far we've talked about one pastry today, the Salzburger Knockeroll. Now we're going to talk about Mozartkugel. Okay, well, I see the word Mozart there, so I suppose it does have to do with the great Austrian composer. And also from Salzburg, the composer Mozart has several desserts named in his honor, one being the Mozartkugel, a sphere of chocolate-filled almond paste coated in nougat and dipped in bitter chocolate. This one sounds a little bit more complicated than the Salzburger Knockeroll. It seems to have more ingredients, and I suppose it's more complicated to prepare. We're talking about the composer Mozart. Now, a composer, of course, is somebody who composes music, especially if we're talking about classical music. We can talk about all the great composers like, Haydn and Mozart and Beethoven and Mendelssohn and people like that. Those are all composers. And, of course, this particular dessert or pastry was named in his honor. It was named after him. It was named to recognize him.
That's right. And because it was named after a great composer who wrote many wonderful symphonies, this dessert is a symphony of sweetness. What is it? It says the Mozartkugel, a sphere of chocolate-filled almond paste coated in nougat and dipped in bitter chocolate. If you can find a picture of one of these things cut in half, have a look. It looks very impressive and looks like something I could never possibly start to make at home. First of all, it's a round chocolate. It's basically the shape of a ball or an egg or something like that, because that's the basic shape of a sphere. The earth is a sphere, a ball is a sphere, basketball, baseball, doesn't matter. An orange or an apple is a sphere, basically. It's kind of a round circular shape. It's a circle in 3 dimensions is basically what I'm saying. So that's what it's going to look like when we're finished. What is it? It's chocolate-filled almond paste. Almond paste is usually crushed almonds with some sugar. It's often also called marzipan, M-A-R-Z-I-P-A-N. Very commonly used in making cakes and things like that. Gives you a sweet, nutty taste. And then it's coated in nougat and dipped in bitter chocolate. Here we are with his word nougat. Nougat is another thing that we often put in candies and desserts and things like that. What exactly is nougat? It's kind of like just a lot of sugar boiled down until it becomes very thick, and you can, warm it up and shape it into things. Then it cools, it becomes chewy. They sell nougat by the roadside. I think down in Hualien, you'll often find this white candy with nuts inside, or they might cover it with chocolate, and many sort of chewy chocolate bars. The chewy part of the chocolate bar will be the nougat. So again, something a lot of people like, but it does have a tendency to get stuck in your teeth if you enjoy eating nougat. Be careful with your dentures. And anyways, then you dip the final thing in bitter chocolate. So that might be more like dark chocolate, not as sweet, but with the balance of the sweet almond paste, the marzipan, could be absolutely delicious. But yes, it does look like something you'd probably want to buy in a store and not try to make at home.
It might be challenging to try to make it yourself, but again, it does contain all these different ingredients: almond paste, chocolate, nougat, and bitter chocolate on the outside. Though many have copied the recipe, only Mozart Kugeln from their home shop in Salzburg may bear the original name.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, all right. Well, I think it might be like the original store in Macau that sells those egg tarts. Everyone else sells them, but that's the place where they really came from. So if you want to try the authentic one, make the special trip. Let's move on to another dessert that's named after, I think, another place in Austria, actually, here. The Linzer Torte. All right, we have torte here. We also had the soccer torte yesterday. A torte is kind of like a tart. It's like a pie, basically. It's a similar type of shape, but maybe without fruit in it or something. Linzer Torte. So it says dating back to the 1600s, again, a very long history to this particular dessert. Linzer Torte is said to be the oldest cake named after a place. Well, that's interesting because we do have a lot of cakes named after places. Of course, we've already seen a few here. Black Forest cake is named after the Black Forest there in Germany. That's another example. So this is one of the oldest cakes, or the oldest cake, named after a place that carries the name of the city, the place, the region that it was invented in this case, way back in the 1600s. Now, what exactly is a Linzer Torte? We know it's from Linz. That's about the only thing we know.
And its buttery crust is filled with preserved fruit, then covered with thin strips of dough. So that's how it's made, and those are the ingredients here. Again, we've got a crust, which is kind of the crunchy outside of something. If you have a piece of pie, the part that's kind of hard on top and bottom is the crust. Or bread, of course, has crust as well. Some people don't like to eat the crust of bread, and they cut them off. In this particular case, it's a buttery crust, and it's got preserved fruit inside. That's fruit that has been aged in jars for a while. It's been preserved, mixing other ingredients in there. So that's going to have a special taste. And then you've got these thin strips of dough. And then I suppose after they put on those thin strips of dough, they bake it in an oven.
That's right. It gives it a beautiful, attractive appearance on the top, kind of like a basket or something like that, a lattice work of these thin strips of dough, and you can see the jam or the preserved fruit through the little gap. So it makes it very attractive, very, very photogenic. It says in many Central European countries, it's traditionally served as part of Christmas celebrations. Yeah, of course, there are always desserts that are kind of associated a little more closely with certain holidays. I think pumpkin pie and Thanksgiving is the classic example from North America. So if you go to a traditional German Christmas, you might expect to see a Linzer tort there towards the end of the meal as part of your Christmas celebration, your Christmas dessert. Sounds good, but I think I'd be happy to eat it at any time of year because I'm kind of a sucker for a nice fruit pie, and that looks like a good Linzer tort. All right, let's have a look at our last dessert in our last section. Then we'll come back to talk about Kaiserschmarrn.
Kaiserschmarrn. This scrambled pancake's name translates to Emperor's Mess. Stories say it was meant as a light dessert for the emperor's wife, but when she declared it too heavy, the emperor said, "Let's see what mess the chef has cooked up," and he devoured it with great approval. Order one at an Austrian cafe and you'll be eating like a king.
最后第3部分我们看到动词 scramble， 它的意思是翻炒，像是翻炒蛋或是争夺。在课文中 scrambled 为过去分词做形容词用，表示翻炒的。举例来说， A plate of scrambled eggs and a slice of toast with peanut butter on it is my favorite. 一盘炒蛋和一片涂有花生酱的吐司是我的最爱。又或者说 Michael scrambled the eggs with mushrooms and onions. Michael 把蘑菇和洋葱跟蛋一起炒起来。再举一个例子， Fans of the band scrambled to get tickets to their concert. 该乐团的歌迷争抢他们的演唱会门票。
Okay, so now it's time for us to talk about Kaiserschmarrn. This scrambled pancake's name translates to Emperor's Mess. Yeah, see the word Kaiser there. I know the word Kaiser refers to some kind of leader in Germany, I guess the emperor. But we're describing this particular pastry as a scrambled pancake. If something's scrambled, it's kind of chopped up or mixed up and then cooked in a pan. And yeah, if you're interested in the German language, well, the translation of Kaiserschmarrn is Emperor's Mess. It translates to Emperor's Mess. A mess, of course, is a messy situation that needs to be cleaned up. And again, the emperor is the leader of an empire.
Very interesting. And sometimes when we have these desserts that are a bunch of different tasty things, but they're sort of just thrown together when there's no effort to make them look attractive, we call it a mess. There's also an Eton mess that comes from the Eton school in England, and it's kind of cream and strawberries and a little sponge cake, and it's often served in a glass, and it's all sort of mixed up. So that's why they call it a mess. And the good thing is you can just dive in with a spoon and you get a nice combination of flavors.
It gets all mixed up in your stomach anyway.
That's a good point. It gets mixed up in your mouth and your stomach and all the way through, so why not start as a mess? It will end up as a mess. Stories say it was meant as a light dessert for the emperor's wife, but when she declared it too heavy, the emperor said, "Let's see what mess the chef has cooked up," and he devoured it with great approval. Well, I'm not sure if that's the real story. It says stories say, right? It's not like sort of recorded history tells us. No, this is sort of like a rumor from the past, one of those interesting things that might not be factually true, but it makes for a good story. So the story is that it started off as a light dessert. The emperor's wife was on a diet. She wanted something sweet, but maybe not a Mozart Kugel or an apple strudel, so she wanted something lighter, less heavy, less fat, less calories. But when she had it, she declared it too heavy. She thought it was too creamy, too rich. This was not helping her on her diet. This was not what she had in mind. So her husband, being a nice guy, right, being a supportive husband, he just wanted to try her dessert, as people often do. And he said, "Let's see what mess the chef has cooked up." So his wife complained about the dessert. He's like, "Really? Let me try it. Let me see how bad this dessert is that the chef has cooked up, or he's prepared, or he's created for you." And then when he ate it, he devoured it with great approval. When you devour something, you eat something probably very quickly and you eat everything. You're probably quite hungry, or the food is so delicious you can't stop yourself. It's almost like you're picking up the plate and licking it after you're finished. You ate every single little bite. So he enjoyed it very much. His wife might have thought it too heavy, but the emperor seemed to think it was just right although it was a bit of a mess.
And if you go to Austria, you can go to an Austrian cafe and order one, and you'll be eating like a king. It will be part of a meal fit for a king.
Eating like a Kaiser.
Like a Kaiser.
Nice.
Yes, indeed. He's not a king. He's a Kaiser or emperor. So there you have it. Sampling of some of the desserts available in Austria. I'm sure there are hundreds more. But indeed, if you go to Austria, enjoy yourself and knock yourself out. Don't worry about your diet. You're on vacation anyway. Okay, that brings us to the end of our discussion for today. Let's listen now to Hanny.
各位同学大家好，我是 Hanny。 我们来看今天的文法重点。课文第3部分有一个句子写到 He devoured it with great approval. 他相当赞赏地大快朵颐。那这边用到动词 devour 就是表达吞食或者是狼吞虎咽的意思。那我们顺便来学几个跟吃东西有关的用法哦。第一个是 wolf down， 我们知道 wolf 是狼，那这个单字呢也可以当及物动词来表达狼吞虎咽，那么后面呢常常会搭配 down 再接受词。举例来说 He wolfed down his breakfast and rushed to catch the bus. 他狼吞虎咽地吃早餐，然后接着冲去赶公车。第二个介绍的是 gulp, G-U-L-P, gulp听起来是不是也蛮像大口吞东西的声音呢？那这个字就是表达一大口或是吞咽的分量，它也可以当动词来表达快速大口的吃或者喝，像 gulp down a can of soda 就是大口喝掉一罐汽水。第3个补充的是 gorge, G-O-R-G-E 它当名词有峡谷的意思，不过这边我们拿它来当动词有狼吞虎咽的意思，常常会搭配介系词 on， 所以我们可以用 gorge oneself on something 去表达狼吞虎咽的吃，拼命的吃某一种食物，像 The kids gorged themselves on French fries 孩子们拼命的吃薯条。第4个补充的是 feast F-E-A-S-T 它当名词有盛宴筵席的意思，那它当动词则可以表达尽情的吃，常见的用法就是 feast on something， 像我们可以说 feast on steak 就是尽情的享用牛排。第5个补充的用法则是 chow down， 好，它表示吃或者是大快朵颐的意思，那么 chow 是拼作 C-H-O-W， chow down 其实意思就相当于 eat，那它后面常常会接 on something。 当我们说 it's time to chow down 就是说该吃饭啦，大快朵颐的时间到咯。好，第6个要补充的是 munch， 它可以表达大口吃，用力咀嚼，尤其是吃到会发出声音的那一种。那我们常常用 munch on something 去表达，像 munch on popcorn 就是表达大口吃爆米花，吃到就卡吱卡吱的那种声音哦。好，那我们补充一下，如果在后面加上 ies 变成 munchies， 那就表示零嘴。当我们用 get the munchies 或者是 have the munchies 是表达嘴馋想吃东西，所以你就可以用 I've got the munchies 来表达说我嘴馋，我想吃东西。好，再看到第7个补充的是 nibble N-I-B-B-L-E， 它表示小口小口的吃，细嚼慢咽，就像鱼在吃饲料的时候是不是也是一点一点这样子吃呢？好，那么 nibble 它有及物跟不及物用法，我们可以用 nibble something 或者是 nibble on something 或是 nibble at something， 像我们可以用 nibble at a piece of cake 去表达小口小口的吃着一块蛋糕。好，再下一个补充的是 peck P-E-C-K， 它当动词呢是指小鸟啄的那种动作，那小鸟吃东西的时候是不是也一点一点的吃呢？我们就可以用 peck at something 来表达小口小口的吃，尤其是指食欲不佳不饿的时候的那种小口小口吃的状态哦。好，以上是今天重点整理，我们回顾今天的单字吧。
Ingredient。The pancake ingredients included eggs, milk, butter, and flour. Worthy. John's parents question whether a career in the arts is a worthy goal. Composer. Beethoven is considered one of the greatest composers of classical music. Sphere. The sun, moon, and earth are all spheres. Scramble. Judy scrambled the eggs with onions, peppers, and cheese. Devour. Michelle devoured her dinner so fast that she felt sick afterward.
Discussion starter starts now.
Okay, here's our discussion starter for today. The question is, which of the Austrian desserts mentioned in the article would you most like to try and why?
For me, the answer is simple. I'd most like to try the Kaiserschmarrn, since saying the word Kaiserschmarrn is kind of fun. And I think I'd like to sit down at a beautiful cafe in Vienna and say, Ein Kaiserschmarrn, bitte. I just think that would be fun. It would make me feel good.
Be more fun to actually order it than to actually eat it.
Possibly.
But for me, I think I'd prefer the soccer tort, mainly because it's got the apricot jam in there. I'm not too familiar with apricot, so I would like to try something that I haven't really tried before, and this sounds kind of cool. A mixture of all these different ingredients, including sweet things, and then we've got some jam in there as well. It does sound oh so tasty.
Well, that brings us to the end of another edition of our program, and please make sure you join us again next time. From all of us here, I am Mike.
I am Roger. See you next time.